Hey guys, so I'm just going for a walk to get some lunch and thought I'd pop on the video and start this whole process off. Usually when I'm out and about on the bus or walking the dog, that's when I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with my models. So I thought I'd share that process with you. It's Easter weekend next weekend, so it's kind of cool that we're talking about Mephiston. Because if you think about it and read the fluff, it's kind of a Christ story. Guy gets blood rage, gets involved in some heavy stuff, gets stuck under some heavy stuff, is on it there for a few days, and then bam, he arises full of energy and renewal, and he's mastered his own rage. So with that in mind, we should talk about what kind of ideas I've got for Mephiston and where those ideas come from. This is not just so that I can blab on, but more that I can just give you a really clear overview of the process that I go through just in my head when I'm thinking of ideas. So I would start there with the idea of having overcome great adversity. I think that it's a kind of like a phoenix story too. That kind of risen phoenix, awakening thing works really well with Mephiston's character and powers, because not only is he now somewhat vampiric, both in appearance and in nature, but he also has special abilities like the wings of Sanguinus. All of those things have already got me thinking that the Mephiston should be flying, much like Sanguinor. If I think about it, it reminds me of Jean Grey, becoming the Phoenix in X-Men, of that fantastic scene in X-Men 3, pretty much the only good scene, when she tears Professor X apart with psychic energy. I hope I haven't spoiled that for anyone. But that scene's fantastic because it really conveys that sense of a psychic maelstrom and energy going crazy. Oh, it also reminds me of another X-Man, and that would be Magneto. There's something really cool in the comics and in the movies when he sort of rises up effortlessly. And Ian McKellen does that really well, with both hands outstretched, sort of carried by the weight of his own mind. It's a little bit different to, I guess, Superman, who is much more athletic. So if Mephiston's going to be flying, it's going to be sort of posed majestically, back arched, chest out, and arms sort of held down a bit actually to sort of elongate him even further. So sword in the left hand, gun in the right hand. Do something a bit different with the sword. There's a really cool sword. I think one of the coolest swords in the game belongs to the Chaos Soul Grinder, I think. It has this fantastic sword that looks like it's corroded and sort of sheared away and broken at the tip. And I want to take part of that tip and transplant it onto the tip of Mephiston's sword. Mephiston? On the tip of Mephiston's sword. And then I'd encase it in red epoxy and in red resin, clear resin, and fashion that resin tip back to a solid, well-formed tip. So it's kind of encased in that shape. That would be cool. Just trying to hint at that corruption, but also hint at that power and that energy. So unlike Dante, Mephiston actually does have wings on the battlefield when he uses that spell. The cool thing about Mephiston's wings is that they're not so much like the rest of the Sanguinary Guard. While when you sort of construct wings for them, you can interpret that in lots of different ways than people do. There's feathered wings, there's sort of machined wings, there's mechanical wings. But with Mephiston, you pretty much want to go with the fluff, and those wings are made of psychic energy. And in the fluff it says they sprout from his back, they burst forth. And I've got a whole bunch of different wing components, angelic, bird-like, what have you. But I really like this idea that there's a dark side to Mephiston, or a dark past. And so in the wings, I'm going to use some of the dead bodies and the zombies and the poor innocent folk from the Warhammer Fantasy Corpse Cart, and I'm going to put them into the back of the wings. So he'll have these big angelic wings spreading out, but there'll also be faces and people and stuff in the back of them. If you turn him around, there's still some interesting detail there.